and good afternoon. Welcome to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. Catherine Tyson, your host. Yes, it is Wednesday, hump day. We're in the middle of the week, and 2 more days to go. I'm sure we are breathing a sigh of relief because I don't know, like you guys, but I live the weekends. Well, we should, right? We should be working hard. That's a part of it. That's a part of the formula. Working hard, doing what we do, you know, getting what we got to get, doing the hustle, and then looking forward to that downtime, that break, that you know, taking care of yourself and breathing and relaxing and all that stuff. So welcome to Wednesday. It is Wellness Wednesday in the Straight Talk studio, and I am here ready to share some great wellness tips with you guys this afternoon. First of all, a couple of announcements. Walk for the Cure, that is Sunday, October the 3rd. That's coming up. Did you know that October is here? Like literally, today is the 29th of September. Of course, I know that, right? And then tomorrow is the 30th, and that's the end of September. And then October. Oh my goodness, can you believe that we are literally 2 months away, technically, from Christmas month? Where did the time go? Yeah, like imagine that. So we have September done, then we got October, then we got all of November, and then that's it. There goes December, and there goes the on the horizon of a new year. How many of you have lived or done your New Year's resolution? How many of you kept them? It's it's September 29th, right? Exactly. Walk for the Cure. Those of you that haven't, you can still start. All right. Sunday, October the 3rd, grouping starts at 6 o'clock a.m., start time 6:30. It's a 5K walk or run from Public Beach. Registration fees, adults, KY $25, children under 12, $10. Walkers, runners limited to first 1,000 registrations. Deadline to register, Friday, October the 1st. All right, so that is 2 days from now. You still got some time. 2021 at 3 o'clock p.m. Register at any branch of the First Caribbean International Bank, their locations, and or you can email maggie.garnett@cibcfcib.com and for a registration form, or look out for registration tables at Foster's, Kirk's, Curly's, A.L. Thompson's during the month of September, and donations will also be accepted. So if you didn't want to get involved with this, you could still donate something towards the cause. And there'll be T-shirts and 10th anniversary giveaways. Walk for the Cure. 100% of proceeds benefit the Cayman Islands Cancer Society. So you're doing something for your body, for your health, but you're also doing something for a worthy cause, the Cayman Islands Cancer Society. And thank you refreshments and prize giveaways at Public Beach will be after the walk. So there you go. Walk for the Cure. That is Sunday, the 3rd of October, 2021. All right, so get ready for that. A couple of other things going on. National Gallery ongoing until the 14th of October. That is the exhibition over at National Gallery. Wonders of Play, Perfectly Imperfect. Visit Virginia or Auntie B Foster's solo exhibition now in the National Gallery. The exhibition showcases a collection of contemporary ceramic art, with each piece dedicated to the perfectly imperfect woman who have enriched the artist's life for several decades. The National Gallery is opened at 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Monday to Saturday. All right. And we also have music at the library. That will be the 30th of September. That's tomorrow. Cayman Arts Festival and Cayman Islands Public Library Service present a musical treat with professional singer Karen Caffarelli and Jonathan Taylor on piano. It begins at 6 p.m. and the cost is $20 for adults and $5 for students up to 18 years old. For more information and to purchase or reserve tickets, contact inquiries at caymanartsfestival.com or 922-5550. Tickets will also be available at the door. That should be nice. Cayman Heart Fund VIP movie screening also on the 30th of September at at Cayman Bay Cinema VIP Auditorium for an exclusive screening of A Sicilian Dream on Thursday, 30th of September. Attendees are encouraged to wear 1920s costumes, and there will be prizes for the best dress. Cost is $60 and includes a complimentary cocktail and an after party at Agua. For more information and for tickets, contact salonprivy.ky@gmail.com or 3262997. Proceeds from both events will go towards the Human Heart Fund community programs. All right. Okay, and the Church of God Chapel 24th Annual Fall Praise Gathering, that is September 29th. That's going to be the last night, will be tonight. Church of God invites all of the Fall Praise, everyone to the Fall Praise, gathering, and the services will begin on Sunday. Okay, so you know where we are. We are at the Georgetown Financial Center, 3rd floor. So if you're looking for us, that's where the studio is now. We are obviously on the air, so that's where you can find us. Georgetown Financial Center, 3rd floor. Okay, let me just take a quick little break, and I will be back with you guys in just a couple of minutes. Today, so do excuse me. I have a guest that's coming, and they're just, I guess, caught up a little bit to getting some parking and different things. Anyway, welcome to the show. This is Wellness Wednesdays, and today we talk about wellness stuff. And thank you so much for joining me. 943-3700. If you want to call, I definitely look forward to your calls. I want to hear from you. A couple of things I wanted to talk about today. One of them, and it is Wellness Wednesday, so I did want to address it. Teenage vaping, it's a problem. Okay, I read this somewhere anyway, this article, but I definitely know it is such a big problem. I want to bring up teenage vaping. It looks like it's since the introduction of the cigarette or vape in 2003, goes way back there, right? It's become the most popular tobacco product among teens, according to the United States Food and Drug Administration. Originally created as an alternative to traditional smoking and as a way to help smokers quit, e-cigarettes instead have become the gateway to smoking and addiction. Vaping has become big business, with more than 460 brands of e-cigarettes and vaping devices, and more than 7,700 flavors of e-liquids. Nicotine, which is present in the e-liquid, is highly addictive and at high levels dangerous for children. The long-term effects of vaping are still unknown. However, e-cigarettes have been linked to severe health problems such as lung injuries, seizures, nicotine poisoning, and increased risk of stroke, which was reported by drugwatch.com. So those of you who think vaping is harmless, it's not. Underage vaping is also a problem here in Cayman. In 2020, the National Drug Council surveyed 3,748 students from both public and private schools. The survey results indicated that for 29% of those students, vapes were their drug of choice, with the average age of first use being 13 years old. Okay, so if you're not smoking a cigarette at 13, you definitely should not be smoking. You should not be vaping. All right, so don't think because it's not a cigarette that you know that's that it's okay. It's not okay. One teenager in the Cayman Islands told of his experience with vaping 2 years ago. He was at a friend's house, said a friend pulled out his vape. I knew what vapes were, but didn't understand their purpose. Explained that it tastes like mango. My curiosity got the better of me. I asked to try it. The flavor of the vape was amazing, and like that, I was instantly hooked. He continued to say he sourced the vapes from another teen who would use a fake ID to purchase them at a local store. Like, first of all, okay, so if you have to use a fake ID, that means you're not supposed to be using them anyway. And he purchased them. He found the person who would buy them from the vape shop and sell them to us for markup. He said he usually makes $7 to $10 a vape and had a lot of clients. If it wasn't available, he'd find someone else to buy them and give them extra money for doing that. The negative side effects of vaping soon caught up with him. Side effects were horrible. He said my stomach was in constant pain. I would get headaches when I didn't have my vape. I would be very lethargic. My grades at school slipped and my relationship with my family became strained. But thankfully, with the help of close friends and family, he was able to quit vaping. All right, so just teenage vaping, it is a problem. If you have to get someone to actually, buy something for you, that kind of sounds like you shouldn't be doing it. That's number one. And because it's not a cigarette, it doesn't mean that it's good for you. Okay, so there you have it on vaping. This is Wellness Wednesdays, and I'm here just chatting about some different little things. On Wednesdays we bring you just wellness talks. Now today I have a very special guest in the studio with me. Very happy that he made it, and looking forward to just having this discussion. Now, this is Dr. Tomlinson. I want to introduce you to the general public. Please speak into the mic. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining this afternoon.
Hi, Catherine, and also hello to anyone listening. I believe there are probably a lot of people listening there out in the public. So, a very, very good evening to you, and thanks a lot, Catherine, for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Now, obviously, Dr. Tomlinson, I have you in today. This is our Straight Talk with Drive 5 show. Everybody's driving home or listening to the radio at this time. And today has been tagged as Wellness Wednesday. So it's something that we decided to do on Wednesdays to talk about our health and to talk about, all things health, mental health, emotional health, physical health, everything. And so on Wednesdays, that's what I generally bring to the public. Today, I wanted to bring you on because I wanted to chat a little bit about, obviously, the hot topic that's out there, vaccines.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, in no effort to be controversial is why you're here. We're here.
I'll behave
talk.
myself. Don't worry.
And I don't know the fact that you promised it.
I tell you what, though, I'm so sorry I got late, but I'm so busy now, Catherine. Honestly, I've never been busier.
Yeah.
Not even when I had the hospital.
Okay.
Because there's so many calls coming in from people who just want to know exactly what is going on, and also what I recommend regarding these vaccines, etc. Lots of different questions.
All right. Right. Okay. So what I wanted to talk with you about this afternoon, I think first of all, I just wanted to talk with you about not necessarily your feelings on that's not the first thing. Your feelings on the vaccine that we're taking in Canada. And we'll talk about that a little later. I want to talk about vaccines, period.
Yeah.
You're a doctor, so obviously I want to hear your thoughts on vaccines.
Okay, well, before I get into that, though, Catherine,
Yeah.
let me just tell the public that I'm told that on Monday coming, that's the 2nd, right, of October, that an peaceful, very peaceful protest has been organized, and people are asked to come and stand, just stand 6 feet apart in front of the governor's residence. And if it stretches to Georgetown or to West Bay, that's okay. That's what I'm being told. And this is because I think it's on the following, is it, no, it's on, sorry, on Saturday is October 2nd, right?
Okay.
Saturday. Yes, let's get this right.
Let's get it right.
October 2nd.
Right, okay, Saturday.
Saturday, October 2nd.
Okay.
And it's going to take place at 4 p.m. People are asked to come, stand peacefully 6 foot apart. And by the way, it's not me organizing it, but I've been invited myself.
Okay.
But to stand 6 feet apart and in front of the governor's residence, and you can park your car, I guess, wherever you can. If you want to park it on the side of the road once it's legal, that'll be fine. Stand in front of the governor's residence, and because we're going to be standing 6 feet apart, and we have to stay on the sidewalk, I'm told. You might find that the line of people might stretch to Georgetown or even to West Bay,
Right.
but that would be okay even if the governor doesn't see us, because I understand there will be placards and so on as people cross.
Okay.
They can read these placards, and it's all about the upcoming legislation. I believe a bill to mandate vaccines for the work permit. And the new applicants for work permits, and even those work permits who are already here,
That are being renewed.
that are being renewed. Any new application, then whether it's for somebody who's already here or someone who's going to be coming in,
Okay.
then they're planning to mandate that. And one concern personally that I have, we only have the Pfizer vaccine here, so it is related to vaccines. We only have that available here, so it means unless they go away, they can only get the Pfizer vaccine. And I think people, even if you mandate, and the government, I understand, has the authority to mandate it for work permits,
Okay.
work permit applicants, but it's another thing not to give them choice. And I'm a firm believer in freedom of choice.
Right.
Freedom, at least they should have the freedom to choose a vaccine
Right.
of their preference, because there are 4 categories of vaccines which we'll go into shortly.
Okay.
And they should have, the right to choose the vaccine of their preference. And I'm not sure whether the government plans to bring in those vaccines. I have no idea. I've been told by various government officials that we should be very happy to know that the Pfizer vaccine that they have here was donated by the United Kingdom to us.
Okay.
It was donated, and therefore it's free of charge. So public needs to know, and those who don't know already, that the Pfizer vaccine is being offered free of charge. But on the other hand, I'm fully aware that people will even pay the $25 for another vaccine if they could bring it in, even if they don't want to give it to the people free of charge. So I'm encouraging government to give us freedom of choice, even in choice of vaccine. Okay. And the reason that I'm going to that protest, I can tell the public, is that I have found that when governments in particular start to take away your rights, they often attack. It's a slow process and sometimes not so slow. What happens to take away the rights of people who have no voice, and then finally they take even our voices away.
Right.
And I don't really stand for that, and I hope the rest of K9 doesn't either.
Right. So in other words, it's always okay to think, well, it's not happening to me, and you leave it alone, and that's the slippery slope that we're talking about, right?
Exactly.
And you don't want to start that, because it does not end well, and it does end with your liberties being affected as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. So now the 2 questions I would have from that. So the first question would be, obviously, I hope if there's any type of thing that that Caymanians are feeling strongly about, that it will be representation from Caymanians as opposed to the work permit holders only doing this protest. So is that coming from Caymanians that will be a part of this protest?
Yeah, I believe the majority of people who will be there, I would think,
Okay.
that is because they think that it's unfair
Right.
not to give the work permit applicants choice.
Okay.
Of course, if they're overseas, they would have choice, hopefully, overseas, but that's not always the case either.
Right.
That they have access to whichever vaccine they want overseas.
Right.
But if they're here already, especially with the difficulties in traveling and making new applications, one can easily see that would be wrong that they only are given access to one vaccine.
Right. So then my other question would be, definitely, I want to ask, was there another way to go about it as opposed to a protest, whether it's a peaceful protest or not? Was there, and I'm always that person that wonders, is there not an opportunity to sit down and have a discussion,
I
a
think,
reasonable
yeah,
discussion?
I'm like that too, Catherine. But it seems like that has been tried and it has failed. At least, at least on one occasion, one or two politicians came to me, and I was told that they made up their minds anyway that this is what they're going to do, and then nobody's going to stop them.
Okay, okay.
So,
So, that is what you, you feel then about that. So no one was really kind of willing to do that.
well, I don't. I understand that other people have approached them, and it seems like it's already etched in stone. So I think they made up their mind. I don't know if they're following people like maybe the other overseas territories, you
Okay,
know, have done or are planning to do the same thing. I do not know.
okay,
But one thing I know for sure is that I've been told by the deputy CMO and also the governor has said, I understand he has said that what is happening here with regards to COVID-19 and whatever strategies are employed, um, that it's not because England is mandating it. England has said that every jurisdiction is free
okay,
to do whatever it
okay.
likes.
So
So that's
England's not
that's
doing that.
reassuring.
So England's not mandating it, is what you're saying.
No, I understand that England is mandating it for us.
Okay,
Not
okay,
saying that we have to mandate anything.
okay,
They've given us free liberty to do
okay.
whatever we want.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about vaccines. Talk about, tell me as a doctor, obviously, I have children, they've been vaccinated, they've had their booster shots and all that stuff. What is the problem then that we're finding?
Okay, well, first of all, I know for sure that no doctor on this island is against vaccination. All doctors and medical people, we realize the worth of vaccination. And so it's not a matter of us being against vaccination. However, we believe in freedom of choice. And there are four categories of vaccinations when it comes to the coronavirus. Um, there are vaccinations, of course, that have been used, and these are not the coronavirus vaccinations that I'm about to talk about now. But we all know that our children are vaccinated, and there are lots and lots of vaccinations that have proven worth over time. They have been certainly very, very helpful to people and in the society as a rule. For instance, the MMR vaccine, the whooping cough vaccine, the hepatitis vaccine, there are many vaccines that people have been given, and they have been, there's no doubt that they've been helpful. But the one thing about the majority, I can't think of any of those conventional vaccines that the person ends up getting the disease, even after they're vaccinated. I mean, when you give your child an MMR,
Right,
the child doesn't come down with mumps and rubella and German measles and this sort of thing
right,
later on in life. They are effective.
right,
Now, this vaccine, of course, is new technology for the coronavirus.
right.
And we know that even after you're vaccinated, that you can, in fact, develop the disease. So, in that regard, it's very different. The conventional vaccines, they are made in different ways, but one thing for sure, none of them go into your cell. There's no genetic material that enters the human cells. So that too is very different from an mRNA vaccine. So let me discuss now
Yes.
the vaccines that are available for, this is for coronavirus. First of all, there are multiple, but there are actually four categories. So we're going to talk about the first category.
Okay,
And the first category is, let's say, the mRNA vaccines. Representing that group is Moderna and the Pfizer that we have here. That vaccine is prepared this way. First of all, the genes of the coronavirus, COVID-19 coronavirus, of course, it's a single-stranded RNA virus. So the genes in the genetic material that codes for the spike proteins of the virus, that is what is put in the vaccine. And many other things I understand are put in the vaccine. But the main ingredient and the main ingredient that is really going to help people not to contract the coronavirus is that genetic material that will code for the spike proteins of the coronavirus. Okay?
Right.
So when you're injected, uh, that part of the genetic material that's in the vaccine, then that is going to penetrate through the cells of every cell of your body. And it has a predilection for the brain, the heart, and the genitals. It is no question about that. That has been proven.
Okay.
And then, like I said, every cell, but a greater proportion will go to those organs. Okay? And once it gets into your cell, then what it does, because it is a genetic material, which of course genetic material do what they do, and that's the code. So it tells our cells to make the spike proteins of the virus. And then the spike proteins of the virus will travel through our cells, they penetrate and travel across the cell membrane,
Right.
and go on the outside of the cells, our cells, and then they stick on to the outside of our cells. A few do travel around in our body too. But once that happens, how it works is that our helper T cells, mainly them, that are in fact circulating in our blood, etc., they will recognize these spike proteins that are attached to our cells as foreign.
Right.
And then they will pass on that information to other immune cells, such as the B cells in our lymph nodes. And then our immune system will start producing antibodies, which are like policemen, okay?
Right.
Our immune system will produce antibodies to these proteins. And so when a person has been vaccinated and all of this has happened, of course it takes a good 2 weeks,
Right.
before you produce enough of these antibodies.
Right.
But once it happens, the person develops immunological memory, so that when attacked by the actual coronavirus, maybe you don't know when that's going to happen. I understand that it happens sometimes at the very least notice. But anyway, whenever you are attacked in future, it doesn't take 2 weeks for these antibodies to be produced.
Okay.
And in very short time, sometimes less than a day, they start swiftly producing these antibodies, and so they attack the spike protein of the coronavirus,
Right.
and they kill it,
Right.
or at least they should kill it. They don't always kill it,
Okay.
but they should kill it.
Okay.
The point is that I'm going to make right here and now, though, is that because those antibodies are specific for the spike protein and not for the entire coronavirus, this is one of the reasons why it doesn't behave in the same way as a conventional vaccine, you see.
Okay.
So this is why some people end up getting maybe a milder attack of coronavirus.
Okay.
Okay, so I hope that explains it.
Right.
That's the first category.
Right. That's the mRNA.
The mRNA.
Okay. All right. And so the other category then would be.
The next category is the vector, the adenovirus vector ones. And that group, you have the AstraZeneca, you have the J&J, otherwise known as Johnson & Johnson, and in Europe that it's called Janssen.
Okay.
And you also have the Sputnik, which comes from Russia.
Right. Okay.
And so this type of virus, vaccine, this is how it works. An adenovirus from a monkey, it's a special breed of monkey, is extracted. This adenovirus is a DNA virus, so it has a double strand of genetic material in it.
Okay.
Fortunately, when it gets into human cells, the genetic material will not replicate, and therefore it's not going to do any coding. Okay?
Okay.
Now what happens, they take in the laboratory um, they take the gene again from the coronavirus that codes for spike proteins, and they attach it, because a lot can be done these days by scientists and people working in the industry. They attach it to the genetic material of the adenovirus.
Okay.
And that is what is put in the vaccine. So you're in fact getting an adenovirus that has been a bit altered in a lab. It's not just the DNA of the adenovirus, but also the gene now, the part of the genetic material of the coronavirus that's going to code for the spike protein is attached to the DNA of the adenovirus. Okay?
Okay.
And once those viruses enter you by way of the vaccine now, our bodies, our cells, just engulf it. Remember back in biology how a protozoan or an amoeba acts? It just engulfs it and just draws it inside.
Right.
So once it's inside your cell, like I said before, the DNA of the adenovirus itself will not replicate. But of course, once again, the gene of the coronavirus does their thing, which is to tell our cells to make spike proteins.
Oh.
And then the spike proteins then travel across our cells and go on the outside, and then our body recognizes them as foreign, makes antibodies, as I explained before, for the mRNA viruses. So, Catherine, in fact, it is just a roundabout way
Right.
of stimulating our immune system to make antibodies. It's not much different from the mRNA.
Okay. Okay.
It's only that they're using a vector. And just to remind the public, a vector is anything that transmits a disease from one to the other.
Okay.
Example, the mosquito, will bite you, suck up some malaria parasites from you and bite someone else.
Right.
And then that person gets infected by
on.
malaria.
Yeah.
So the vector is the mosquito. So in this case, the adenovirus is the vector.
Okay.
Okay? I hope people understand. I'm sure they do. The Kimanis are very intelligent.
Yeah.
And the people here, they're not only Kimani, but a lot of people live in Kimani now. So I'm sure they understand what is said.
Yeah.
Now, the third category is, let's talk about the conventional vaccines.
Okay.
That category of vaccine is well represented by the Sinopharm and Sinovac vaccines. Now, it's amazing. One thing that I find amazing, Catherine, is that the Sinovac and Sinopharm vaccines were about ready when this coronavirus broke out in China.
Okay.
It was developed by Chinese pharmaceutical companies, and they were ahead of the game, because as the coronavirus broke out, their vaccine was ready, and they started vaccinating their population. And I can tell you, I hear for example, I'm hearing on CNN things like the reports from China aren't accurate and all of that. But I can tell the public that I know two doctors from the West Indies who work in China, and they have confirmed to me that at the start, China lost to less than 7,000 people, and it has a population of 1.5 billion. So they did extremely well by vaccinating their people.
Okay.
And of course, they have a system, as you know, in China, that if you don't get vaccinated, I mean, wow, you could get in big trouble, including maybe lose your life.
Right.
So China, as you know, is very authoritarian and totalitarian and whatever else.
Right.
So the people took the vaccine there, but it was a conventional vaccine, and it certainly helped them. However, the public needs to be told this too in Cayman, because a lot of people are asking for and signing up on the list, because they have said that they want, since I've come out talking about the Sinopharm and Sinovac,
Right.
they're saying they really would prefer that one. But they need to be told to that right now China is looking for other vaccines too, as the variants crop up there. And unfortunately, people are dying.
Okay.
Even even some people who've had the Sinopharm there aren't doing that well either.
Right.
When you get the variants, especially the Mu and the Lambda and the Beta and this other one that now is outrageous. That they've gone not just to the Delta, but the Delta 1 and the Delta 2, and there are piles of variants that have already cropped up. And virologists from the time have told governments and told everybody that this would be happening, especially as you vaccinate
Right.
people. That encourages the multiplication of variants. And just in case the public wonders why I say that, most of us in the public know, for example, if you keep treating a condition, especially if the antibiotic isn't warranted, and you keep giving them augmentin, or an antibiotic, that drives antibiotic resistance. So eventually the bacteria stop responding to that antibiotic. And in the same way, the more vaccines you give, the more variants you're going to get, because viruses are notorious, absolutely notorious for mutating. When I tell you they're notorious for that, I mean most common colds are are caused by RNA viruses, and they would never even dream of coming up with a vaccine for a common cold, since
Okay.
it's not a serious thing. So let me tell you now about how the conventional Sinopharm and Sinovac work. Um, just like our other vaccines that we know of, like the majority of them anyway, what happens is that the total virus is killed or inactivated so that it can't cause disease. And that's what's in their vaccine, and that's what goes into your body. It does not enter your cell. Your T cells see it circulating and recognizes the entire virus. And so when you make antibodies to that, it's not just one antibody, it's a slew of antibodies. And when you get the disease, there's more chance that you're not going to get it. And if you do get it, you're certainly not going to die from it.
Okay.
But remember, that is if the particular virus is sensitive to the vaccine. And like even the Sinopharm and the Sinovac that was produced was to the alpha and the beta variant. And now they've exhausted the Greek alphabet
Right.
with variants, and they're
Okay.
even going on the. So that's the conventional vaccine. The last one, and that is a beautiful vaccine. This last category is a Novavax.
No. Okay.
Novamax, and people need to read up about it. I've sent around information to a number of my contacts about the Novamax, and people can access it, and in today's world, they can just Google and find it out themselves.
Right.
But the Novavax vaccine is made by a Maryland-based company, and they're producing that vaccine in the National Research Center over in Montreal, and so it's already produced, and Canada's bought millions and millions of it to vaccinate their people. Novavax vaccine, how that one works is, again, the gene of the coronavirus is put into baculovirus, and this baculovirus comes from an insect, and then the baculovirus, after the genetic material of the baculovirus is fused with the gene of the coronavirus, it's put into moth cells. So the moth cells, not human cells, but the moth cells make the spike proteins. And the spike proteins are then put in their vaccine. They're harnessed from the moth cells. By the way, that's whooping cough vaccine too. That's how it's done for moth cells.
Okay.
But anyway, those spike proteins from the moth cells are then put into their vaccine and injected into you. But the spike proteins now do not go into your cell. It's a protein. It's not genetic material. And the spike protein will attach to the outside of your cells and circulate too. And then the same way you will make antibodies to those spike proteins. So that's the full category.
Well, let me ask you. So, I mean, because obviously you are a doctor, so you're speaking in terms of what you understand. I want to make sure that the listeners are a little clear on what you are saying. Now, that a lot of people have taken the vaccine already. So I kind of want to talk about that for a couple of minutes. Uh, as far as we know, it's 70 something percentage of our, you know, community that's taking it.
As far as you know,
As far as I know,
as far as you
well, as
know,
far as
but
what's
really,
being
for
reported.
77% of our population, I can tell you they're not vaccinated.
Okay, all right.
Okay, So
So you don't think that's a correct
it
reporting
is
that we're
not.
getting?
It is
Okay.
not. A lot of things are being said that are not correct.
Okay.
And by the way, there are a lot of a great percentage of the population here. But if we can, if it is true that our population is 72,000 people,
Right.
I even if it was 77% of that, it's not it's not 77% Caymanian. I can assure you.
Right.
What is happening in the beginning? Most of what permit holders went and got vaccinated because they heard this was going to happen anyway. What's supposed to be coming up here on Monday? They heard that that's going to happen, so they went
They
and
felt the pressure.
yeah, they felt the pressure. They went and remember the work permit population here in Cayman is quite high. And
Right.
then, as some Caymanians naturally went too, and even some people here who have PR and so on, some of them must have gone. So the majority of the people who have not been vaccinated in Cayman are Caymanians.
Okay.
And recently with this big hoopla about all of these coronaviruses that they're finding and carrying on here now in Cayman, and especially with various private companies forcing Caymanians more or less to go and get vaccinated or lose their job. Can you imagine that? If you don't go and get vaccinated, you're going to lose your job in Cayman. That infuriates
I
me.
heard about that in New York today, actually.
And worse in the States, the last bastion of democracy.
Well, the new mayor in New York was announcing that today. I mean, I don't know how they're going to take care of these people that are losing their jobs. I know for a fact here that people are turning people away from the gyms if they're not vaccinated. So I have a couple of questions for you. One of those questions is for the people that have been vaccinated and they're worried. They're worried to say, okay, should I not have done that? Can you put their mind at ease?
Yeah, many of the vaccinated people have called me, many of them, because you got to remember, many of them are my patients too.
Right.
And they have expressed concern, Dr. T, what about me? You know, I had the vaccination.
Right.
I say to them, please don't take the boosters.
Okay.
Please don't take the boosters, especially when the booster is just another what you got first.
Okay.
And it's not going to be much use when the variants keep popping up here. I'll tell you something, and I want to say this. I spoke to the Royal College of Surgeons very early this morning, very 5 o'clock. I was up because, let me tell you, the telephone started ringing from Caymanians at 5. Because I said on the radio yesterday, please give me rest from 12 to 5. So 5 o'clock prompt was the first telephone call because of people being so scared and frightened. And that was a vaccinated person, by the way, who couldn't sleep.
Right.
Anyway, I called the Royal College, and you know what the Royal College said? There's only a skeleton crew here at the college on St. Vincent Street. There's only a skeleton crew. Most of our staff have taken refuge at home because they have been vaccinated and they're so scared of the Delta that is wreaking havoc in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
And at the beginning, please, I want the public to listen carefully. At the beginning, when the Delta variant became the predominant coronavirus, COVID-19 coronavirus, that was like in June. At the beginning, it appeared like the unvaccinated were doing a little worse than the vaccinated. But now, as they see what is happening, and so many people are dying, the stats are showing that it's hardly making any difference. In fact, the unvaccinated, which came on public needs to hear this, the unvaccinated now are having the edge over the vaccinated. That's what I was told.
Okay.
And so those even of the Royal College, they've run. They're going into hiding in their home for fear of catching the Delta. So to those people who've taken the vaccine, just pray that the variants don't come here. Although I understand that the Delta is already here.
Okay. And so I think the a huge thing for me is when people are kind of functioning on fear, that's also not good for your immune system anyway.
Absolutely.
And so for are you not are you saying that you're not afraid for a person who's making a decision to not be vaccinated? You're less afraid for them,
No, I'm not telling people what to do. I'm here to give information.
right?
And if after I finish speaking, if people still want to go and take this Pfizer that is liberally given out here and it's free, so be it. What I am saying is everybody needs to be informed and there should be freedom of choice. That's
Okay,
what I stand for.
okay.
Freedom of choice. And I would think it makes sensible before you make a choice to avail yourself to as much information as possible.
Right. And the problem with information is that sometimes people can provide you with information that they want you to have, and it's up to you to continue to search for yourself to find out other information. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And do not ever try to discredit what any doctor says, especially scientists and doctors. What you should do is find out why they're saying so and what are their resources, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
In other words, prove what they're saying.
Okay, so then I have a question, another question. Then, if everything that you're saying is true, and you have been a doctor, how long? Tell me.
51
Right.
years, and most of that's spent in Cayman. And I'm telling you, I may as well say this on the radio, and I hope it doesn't offend anybody. It is not like I wanted to have any high ranking position in the government health service. I was already the chief surgeon in the service.
Right.
And I went out into private practice. And because
Right.
of Cayman Public, I've done extremely well. Thank you,
Right.
Cayman Public.
Right.
I have done extremely well.
Right.
And I'm only interested in the welfare of not just Caymanians, but maybe everybody living in the Cayman Islands is a human being,
Yeah.
including those that have work permits.
Right.
And so I'm interested in humanity.
So let me
So
ask you.
what I'm saying is that the position that I find myself in is that yes, I know I need to be factual because people trust me,
Right.
and therefore I do my research thoroughly. I'm not going to come publicly and say nonsense. Everything I'm saying, I can back it up
Right.
scientifically.
Right.
And that is that. But mind you, it's a little annoying, Catherine, to me that not even my representative
Yeah.
in the district of Spots and Prospect has had the common sense and decency to even call Dr. Tomlinson to say, Dr. Tomlinson, what you think about this, especially when she convinced me to vote for her.
Well, then that's my other question. My other question then is, if everything that you're saying is true, and like you said, you can back it up with science. You've been a surgeon 52 years. You've been in the medical profession for that long.
And furthermore, I understand the Cayman public.
Right. What? Why then? Then my question would be why? Why are we here then? Why are we at this point in the world in this situation? If what you're saying is true, that
Good question.
we're almost being that the vaccine is being forced or pushed on us, because I know you're talking about the work permit holders, but I'm also talking about just even Canadians that are choosing to not be vaccinated, the difficulties that they're running upon, the difficulties that
Very
they're
sad.
continuing
Very
to
sad.
face.
Why don't they do like what Bahamas? Bahamas, I understand that they've decided to mandate that that nobody, they passed the law saying nobody will be mandated to take the vaccine, any vaccine for that matter. Nobody in the Bahamas is going to be mandated to take it. This is what I understand they have done, or that have done, or going to do. Sorry. You can check it out. The public needs to check that out for themselves because I have not checked it out thoroughly, and I will admit that. But I am told that the Bahamas government has said that no Bahamian will be mandated to take any vaccine, and has also made a law that prohibits the private sector from forcing anybody to take a vaccine.
Then why do you think we're here? Why
We're
is
here.
Kiman here?
I would like to know. I asked the deputy CMO. I asked him, what is happening? Could you tell me what is happening? Why these decisions are being made here in Cayman about coronavirus? And he reassured me it's not because the United Kingdom government is forcing us in any way to do it.
Okay.
So it's not like because we're a British overseas territory that the United Kingdom is forcing us to do it. So what is it?
So is it a personal, like, I mean, it's just a personal decision that?
No, I think that even the government officials and that some of them need the correct information, and not only that, it's perhaps they're listening only to one narrative. I'm at a loss to find out why this is happening, and not only happening here. But I can only postulate that maybe it's because some some perpetrators have in fact frightened the world to such an extent that basically everybody's afraid of the coronavirus, and therefore, in the name of safety, because often we hear that we have to make sure that our community is safe, then they are making these decisions. I do not know, but some people are giving me all kinds of reasons why it's happening worldwide.
Okay.
I'm not privy to those, so I cannot say them publicly. But for example, it has been said that big pharma is paying off governments.
Okay.
I do not know,
Okay.
but I do not know. I can't prove those things. I do not know.
Right.
So I want that to be clear. It's a
Right.
lot of things, but one thing I know, if the people do not know the truth,
Yeah.
they will in fact do what? They
Well,
will make it up.
yeah. Okay. That's the other thing then. You're talking about this afternoon, that people should have a choice um, with particular vaccines, and that people would not have a problem paying if they have to pay. So in other words, the one that's being offered for free. The problem is not being vaccinated. The problem is what choices we have in vaccination. Is that what you're saying this afternoon?
Yes,
Okay.
if but I'll say something furthermore. The public needs to know too that the more we vaccinate, the more variants we're going to get.
Okay.
Then I think I made that quite clear.
Okay.
And for this reason, countries that have already seen what is going to happen, example, member states of the European Union, they are now on a different track. They're hoping to try to phase out vaccination, hopefully by the end of the year, and also offer 5 different strategies plus ivermectin.
Okay.
Many people in Cayman, doctors included, Catherine, were saying that ivermectin isn't any good. But let me tell you, it's funny then how it saved so many lives in India, Australia, other places, and now a sensible government, Japan is very advanced technologically. It's a first world country, and they are using ivermectin. I can tell you.
Okay.
And ivermectin, I'm here to tell the Caymanian people, will help them not die from coronavirus.
Okay.
And you know, but it's very important for them to know that if you wait too long, it's not going to help you.
Okay.
It is good as a prophylactic, meaning that if you think you're getting it, or even if you're going in a place where you believe that you might get it, there's nothing wrong with taking an ivermectin tablet. Ivermectin works when the virus is in your nasopharynx. That's when it works, not
Okay.
after it gets in your lungs.
And so the ivermectin now, there's the controversy that it is actually, what is it, for horses, but obviously that has been the back and forth you'll see on the internet. But as a doctor, there's been a lot of doctors explaining that no, it can be used for humans.
It has been used for humans for decades for
Okay.
treating parasites. And forget about this foolishness about it being so toxic. We
Okay.
know what correct dose to give depending on the weight of the patient.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Okay.
This is ridiculous what's happening in Cayman. And you can imagine, Catherine, knowing the kind of person I am, how frustrated I am.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Now I'm looking at we talked about in terms of the percentage of people vaccinated. What it's saying is that 110,000 doses of COVID vaccine have been administered, and that. Assuming that every person that's gotten 2 doses, it's enough to vaccinate that amount, and that's how they're coming up with the percentage. Now, I'm also looking at Bahamas, who has 23.7% of their population fully vaccinated, and Jamaica that has 12%. Okay, and so and I think that that's quite interesting. Trinidad I looked at 37%. For us to almost be wanting to lead the charge, and for what reason?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to know.
But we are here. This is where we are. And so, at what point are we going to? Is there a possibility that we are able to have that sit down and talk with, as you mentioned?
Well, I implore.
As you mentioned, your representative, who happens to be the Minister of Health. When is that a possibility?
I would be happy to talk to the Minister of Health. I have nothing against the Minister of Health. As far as I'm concerned, she's a lovely lady.
Have you reached out to her?
I have tried calling her. Like I got in touch with her when, Dr. Lee blocked the importation of my Sinopharm vaccine, which was going to be used for personal and the rest of my family.
So that was coming in.
Yeah, I had arranged for it to come in on Cayman Airways on August 10th.
Okay.
And first, Dr. Lee blocked it. And then after that, after political pressure, he okayed it, but made sure that he didn't send the approval to Cayman Airways in time for the flight. So Cayman Airways received the flight when the flight had closed and the plane was about to take off.
Okay.
I guess that's a funny, that seems strategic to me, but maybe they were busy. Give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right. So you weren't able to do that. And at that point, you had decided on the Sinopharm, but then you've now done more research and found out about the Novavax.
Yeah, Novavax is fine.
So they're kind of they're.
But I still like Sinopharm. But you know what? All of the vaccines eventually, unless they come up with new ones, not going to be any good for these variants. Take it from me.
None of them.
None of it.
Okay.
And this is why the European Union and sensible scientists, countries that are taking scientific advice, and not countries where, like President Biden is the president,
Right.
Because you know that in the United States, even the FDA is under a lot of pressure. And I know one of the principals of the FDA personally, Kenneth Bryan and Elio, know that I took them up to Bethesda, to the FDA. Okay, to meet them. So I keep in touch, ladies and gentlemen, with the FDA, and they are under pressure.
Okay. Now, I just got a comment. Ivermectin won Nobel Peace Prize for a Nobel Prize for parasitic infections in 2015. So, it won, a prize for being top for parasitic infections. So obviously, what you said about it, like you said, you have the science behind you.
Oh, yes. Yes. But we brought up something, Catherine, that I've been trying to get to the bottom of. Why are countries around the world? I was so glad when Australia, they're discussing, a bill as we speak, I believe, or maybe they're ahead of us, it must have finished by now. But anyway, they've been discussing this bill in Parliament not to mandate any form of treatment, certainly no vaccine for Australians.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be passed, but I was listening to the video before coming here to you, and they're saying they want to do what DeSantis is doing in Florida. Floridians will not be mandated to take any vaccine, and the other states are following, despite President Biden.
Right. Okay. So what do you want to leave the Cayman public with? You're obviously very, very riled up about this. So what do you want to leave the public with?
I want to leave the public with this. We are a people, we are a proud people. We've got where we are. And we should resist any infraction of our freedom to choose, ladies and gentlemen. We must do everything that we can that our freedom is not gradually eroded. We need to stand up at this time, vaccinated or not, work permit holder or not, Caymanian, people with their PR, anybody that's living in the Cayman Islands need to say no to this. We will not allow anybody to be mandated here to have any vaccine, including the Sinopharm, anything. It's all about freedom of choice. I mean, this thing that is supposed to be introduced and the bill that is supposed to be discussed on October 4th about mandating it. Yes, the government might have the right to mandate it, but do they have the right to mandate that they get the Pfizer, the only one here? Are they going to bring in other vaccines so that the work permit holders can get them?
Right.
I'll be watching what happens on October 4th.
Okay.
And the Caymanian people should be very, very interested in what goes on in our parliament come Monday, October 4th, Catherine.
Okay.
They need to be, Caymanians, stand up. What we need is freedom of choice. And at that, I'm going to say bye, Catherine,
All
because I see that, you're so busy. But thanks so much for having me
No,
here.
thank you. Thank you for coming on this afternoon. A last comment, Sweden never locked down, and today they lifted all COVID restrictions.
Europe is opening up. Denmark
Good
is opening.
example.
England, you do anything you want. Dr. Lee said that on one briefing when he was in Britain. Apparently, the only time he used a mask was when he went to see his mother. That's what he said, and it was for public to hear. He was so happy. Although we here are trying to do everything we
Well,
can.
backwards almost.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying that that's wrong or right, but he said he made it clear to all of us. And when Stephanie, that's Dr. Lewis's wife, a friend of ours. She's from Somerset, and she went back there recently, and she said, "My God, she was wearing mask all the time because she was so afraid."
Right.
But no, hardly anybody. She never saw anybody with masks. Everybody's doing, and they're dying.
Right.
Unfortunately, they're dying.
Yeah.
Especially some of those, it's, oh my goodness, it's sad.
It's a rough time.
They're dying, but they're still deciding, you know what? You know what's going to stop this? Guess what?
What?
Natural immunity.
There you go. And that's it.
So we need to build ourselves up so that when we get the coronavirus, we make it.
Tell us how. How do we build ourselves up as we close this show? Tell us.
Oh my, get adequate rest, and don't make anybody stress you out.
Stress.
Get adequate rest and get adequate exercise. Eat a lot of fresh fruits, vegetables, and white meats, and take your vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin C. Take your zinc. Make sure that your body has enough of that. Have your things like garlic is good, ginger is good. Eat well and stay healthy, and make sure that you visit, not necessarily Dr. Tomlinson, but you visit your doctor and make sure that you are well. And lastly, I would say, and this is to government, I implore government of the Cayman Islands to let doctors do what we do best, and that is to treat patients. Stop trying to treat patients. You politicians, stop trying to be doctors as if you know what is safe and what is not safe, telling our people piles of things as if you're doctors. Do not do it. Please do not do that. Let the doctors do the work for you in treating the patients. You will come out with less mud on your face at the end of all this. Because a lot is going to come out in the washings, including court cases.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. And thank you all for joining me on the Straight Talk Drive 5 show. That has been Wellness Wednesday, Dr. Steve Tomlinson. And I bid you a good evening, and take care of yourselves. We'll talk again tomorrow. This is Catherine Tyson, the host. Take care.
Thank you, Catherine. This is ridiculous, man. I've never been. I have never.